So, Guild Wars 2, if you play it, this video is probably not for you, but if you don't play it or you're very new or thinking about playing it, this is a video series just for the very first time players and just those little tricky things that seem very difficult at the time and really are no problem at all. So, so last time I sort of covered just downloading it. What do you want to download? Do you want to play for free, buy to play? What's some of the options? One of the things I didn't cover, which is, just in case it's a problem, obviously you buy the game or you download the game, you install it, you're going to get this screen, which is just your normal start screen where you put in your account. If you don't have an account, you're going to have to create an account. Very easy. You just click on the create account. You're going to want your email address and a password. I think the password's up to like 8 characters now. It was about 6 or so. It used to be. I'm going to have to extend my passwords next time. And you want a display name. That was a bit. I was a bit confused about that when I first played. Obviously, not your real name. Really, you don't want a real name. It's not really your character's name either. It's your account name. Although, in my case, I just use Xenatutor, which is my main character's name. You can use main character's name or your gaming name. It's mostly there for if somebody wants to friend you that you're playing with, and it'll have like Xenatutor 1234. You can tell them your name, and they can then friend you. So that's very easy. You'll probably want your email address verified. Once you've got that, you can sign up and away you go. Another thing it will do is when you first log in, you will get this little option here to sign up for SMS, which is an extra layer of security. You'll get SMS on your phone. It's not something you have to do, but it's just it can be handy if you're worried about losing your account, if you play on other computers or whatever. It's just at that extra level of security, and it's actually sometimes easier than getting an email for when you've got a network change or whatnot. That will give you as a free little mini. It's a little dragon worm guy that goes around with you. It's purely cosmetic. You'll collect more of those in the game later. They're just something to look cool, to follow you around. Doesn't actually do anything, but you know, it's free. So once you've got that, you can then, if you don't want to do it right now, just say remind me later. You can then pick up play and get into finally creating a character. And then you get to the character creation screen, the first character creation screen, and you're faced with your first obstacle, which when you get here, there's some things are changeable and some things are. There are most things later in the game you will be able to change. Some few things you can't change with character. You'll have to create a new character if you want to. If you want to try a different race, when you start, you are stuck with your race you pick, and you're stuck with your profession. That's something you can't change later on that character. Pretty much everything else you can change. You can change your appearance. It may cost you gems. You may pick up the ability from some prize or something, but you will always have to have the ability to change everything. Even your sex, you can have a sex change, you can go from boy to girl, all that things can be changed, hair colours, all of that. You can't change your race or your profession. So, but if you don't like what you're playing, you can play something new with another character. But you know, it does pay to pick the thing you want first. So you know, you can try a few. There's no, you can look at all the characters within this selection. You can, you know, if you open human and female, it will give you what they look like and the possible profession they can play. You can go back then, look at the other races. The races are not critical to the game. All races can do everything. All professions, all races can go everywhere. There's no limitations to choosing any race. The main differences between the race are purely cosmetic and purely where you start in the game. So that early stages in the game, you're going to be in a particular starting map. There's 5 different starting maps for the 5 different races. The Azura and the Silvari plants start side by side. They essentially both start in Maguma Forest. Different maps, but in a similar style. Humans have their own starting map. Shah have their own starting map. Norn they all have their own major cities. But other than that, and later on you will go to all of these cities, and especially when you're starting a character, you're going to want to move around between these cities, between these maps, because say you get up to level 10, you might complete your home map and you might only be level 10, 15, and rather than go to a higher map that's 15 to 25 in Earth, you might decide to go to the other starter map and do some of that easy stuff as well, and get your strength up and get your more experience up and more your levels up to, you might get up to level 20 before you try harder maps. So that's always an option. Other than cosmetic differences, obviously they've all got a look. The major difference is there is some perceived speed differences in that some of the large races like the Norn and the Char, they do run differently, they feel different to the human, they feel a bit more sluggish, the same as the Sylvari. Sylvari are more like humans. The Zura are more agile, feel more agile. They all travel the same speed, they can all do the same thing, but we'll have a quick look at the different ones so you can have a feel for them. So our humans, one of the main races, and probably the default race for most people, they start in Queensdale. It's a very, it's a rural setting. Their city is right nearby, Divinity's Reach, which has lots of good resources in it. Good places. It's a nice open place, quite a big map. It allows you to do all your crafting and whatnot there. And this is your starter map. As you see, it's a lovely English-style rolling plains, a lot of farming. And this is where you start. And this is your default movement. I've probably got a little bit of speed. This is my main character, so she's probably got a little bit of mobility mods on, which you can do later in the game. If I take that off and give her something different, she'll run a little bit slower. So there are things you can change in the game later. With speed, people often ask, how do I run? Your character is running already. If you want to walk, you can walk, and you won't walk very much. They are running all the time. Later on in the game, if you've bought it, you can get mounts which speed things up, but generally when you start, you'll be walking around, well, running around. So that's your human start area and your human. The Sylvari, on the other hand, start in a forest. They are a plant race. They live in a giant tree, which is a living tree, and they're actually children of the tree. You can actually talk to the tree through an avatar. It's the avatar of the tree, which looks a lot like us. As you can see, other people come to these maps. Anyone can go anywhere. You start in these maps, which are very forest-oriented. The Sylvari are very into nature. It's another farming area like the human start area, and your quests accordingly are like that. You will start your quests here. This is the actual starting area. And so you get a feel for the aesthetics of the area. It's quite a pretty place. Plants move much like humans. They're quite quick. So it's the default. As I say, they all move exactly the same speed. It's just a matter of feel. So they look obviously a little bit different, but they're human-esque. And you can make them. There's a lot of personalisation, obviously, there. The Char, on the other hand, their starting zone, their city's back in there. They're very industrialised, very mechanical-minded. They're into machinery, very battle-oriented, and it's a drier sort of area. All your quests are often combat-related, and as you see, they also it's in an old human ruined area. There's a lot of human ghosts that they conquered over time. But yes, as you see, a lot of machines. And they're obviously some sort of cat-like race, and that's one of those minis I was talking about that he's got carrying around. So as you see with the movement, I think he's probably sped up a little bit here, but as you see, they are a little bit more cumbersome. They feel a little bit slower, a little bit more sluggish, and they run on all fours when they run. If you're walking slowly, they will walk like anything else, but when they're running, they are on all fours, and just a little bit more sluggish when you're rolling and jumping and all that sort of thing. it's a little bit different feel, and not everyone likes that. But they certainly have that nice big tough look. So if you want a big tough character, it's certainly the one to have. A lot of customization, a lot of teeth, a lot of horns. So, but just something to be aware of with the movement. The Norn, likewise, are a larger build, so they have a little bit more speed on that one as well. My main characters, so they also have a more sluggish feel. If you see them run, when you run, it just feels a bit slower. It's just something to get used to. It doesn't change their movement, and like all the characters, there's various things you can do to speed them up. Different characters have different ways of doing that. Different professions have different ways of doing that, and you can speed them up a bit. The Norn primarily are in snow areas. The starting area is a bit of a forest, but primarily the maps tend to be snowy, so that's a different aesthetic. They're into hunting, that sort of thing. So a lot of your quests are hunting and related. I suppose they're sort of like a what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's a Nordic type culture, so everything's based around that. So just to get a feel for that. Otherwise, fairly human. They just look like big humans, really. Now, the Azura, the small people, they originally came from underground and have come to the surface. They are the nerds of the game. They are all into technology. They say hilarious things. They're quite cute and arrogant little pricks. But they're quite cute. Their cities have a unique style. They are in the same sort of forest as the plant people, but they have their own unique areas. They're all into robots, as I say, technology. So a lot of your quests are going to be based around robots, and all of the starter maps do have some farming and whatnot. But yeah, each one you'll find this will be more technology oriented. So you'll be repairing robots or whatever and blowing robots up and that sort of thing. They are a much more agile feeling race. As you can see, they jump around and bounce around, and they feel faster. They're not really any faster. I've run out of dodge energy there, but as you see, when you dodge, you don't just roll, you bounce around. So they're quite a cute little race, and they do say the funniest things, especially with some of the classes. So and that pretty well covers all the races. So, as far as race goes, don't panic. You pick something you like. If you want you might want a big tough warrior, so you're going to pick some sort of Norn or something just to get that look. Otherwise, you'll go with whatever suits your feel on the aesthetic value. Now, for this one, I'm just going to go with a human female just to cover the rest of it. Like I say, the only real important thing now is the profession. There's a lot of things that come later that aren't important. I'll quickly go through those. Really, the only thing that's going to fix this character to a certain role. They don't really have roles. Any character can pretty well do anything. Some are better than things than others. Some professions can only do certain things, like some professions, like there's some things in the game that you can only do with some professions, like if you want to do porting with people, your teammates, someplace you're going to have a mesmer, and that's probably a later character. You're not going to do that I personally wouldn't do that as my first character. I think for the first character you probably want a warrior, a ranger, or a necromancer, and I'll detail why. Even maybe a guardian or a elementalist or a thief. They're all, you can do any of them first time, but some are easier and more straightforward. Primarily the professions come in three main styles. You've got your heavies, your mediums, and your lights. The main difference between those are going to be the equipment you use, not weapons. The weapons are dependent on professions, and they share all through more or less, but primarily that's to do with the look and the type of armor you use. There's three grades of armor. There's heavy, medium, and light, and when you pick up armor, it's going to be for one of those grades of armor, so that you can only use on that, and the models are different. So there's certain looks in the game that you're only going to get on those type of characters. So on your heavies, if you want your armor look, you're going to have to use one of these heavies, and it doesn't matter which heavy. Obviously, there's 9 professions. There's only 8 available on the free game. This is the free game of. If you buy the game, you're going to also have the Revenant that came with Heart of Thorns expansion, and it's has slightly different things it can do compared to the others, but it's still in the heavy group. So, but any of that heavy armor that you can use on any of those. So you know that style of armor will still go on a warrior or whatever. And when you go to the mediums, they will also carry the same sort of armor. They tend to be leather. These tend to be your iron and steel. We'll have a quick look at them later in a minute. And these tend to be your leather, and these tend to be your lighter armor, your cloth, and a lot of skin. So if you've got like a Revenant or a Warrior, this is a Revenant in this case, then you'll be wearing something like heavy armor like this, or chainmail, or something to that effect. So if you're after that sort of look, you might want to play one of the heavy classes. It shouldn't probably be your primary goal, because you really want to do the fight style. But it gives you an idea what it's going to look like and when you're in a heavy class. So in your medium armor class, it's more into the leathers and whatnot. So your thieves and engineers and warrior class. This is actually like sneak thief armor. In your medium class, it's a lighter grade. A lot of these things don't matter too much in playing the game as far as strength goes, vulnerability to damage goes, but it certainly affects the look, and it is doesn't offer properly as much protection, but it does. I don't notice too much through the game. So that's actually, yes, like I say, Sneak Thief. In the female version, that's quite a simply little outfit. It's a bit funny. It's like a vesty top with tight jeans on. It has a very different look, but so if you pick up that sort of armor and you put it on a guy, it's going to look like that, and you put it on a girl, it's of course going to look like about bra and jeans. And then in the lighter class, we get into the cloth armor and a lot of skin usually. So this also affects what you make them out of. Obviously, leather armors are made out of leather. Your heavy armors made out of metal, and these will be made out of cloth. So if you do any crafting, you will do that accordingly. So say if you had a character who's a light armor, you might want to do obviously crafting into the light armors into cloth, so you can do the light armors, and if down the track, and you'll do cloth bags and whatnot as early crafting. So that gives you a rough idea of the look of them, but obviously the professions there's a lot more to them than that, but that does give you the look idea of the different the 3 levels of armor. So then you've got the classes. Now there are some really good guides out there if you want to see what the classes do all through the game with expansions, what sort of specializations you can do later. There's some really good guides. I'm not going to cover all that here because that's been done. I'll have a quick run through some of them. Personally, I think there's probably only 2 or 3 you probably should pick for a start. Your warrior class, which is your main just out there fighting class, and your ranger for range with a bow, and necromancer is probably one of the easiest light classes, although I quite like the elementalist as well. A lot of people say the elementalist is hard to play. I don't really find that, but it's a sort of a mage class where you're throwing fire and spells and wiping things out, whereas the necro, you're running around with monsters. We'll have a quick run through some of those. Say with warrior, like I say, that's either sword or run around with axes and whatnot. It's both a very offensive class, also can help your mates out a fair bit. We can have a look at that. So with a warrior, you might run out with a couple of axes or a great sword or even a bow. It's just berserk going out and killing things. Pretty straightforward. Not much to that one that needs explaining. Go out and wipe them out. Guardian, I don't know. I'm not a real Guardian person. It's another heavy class. I'm not real sure what it does best, but it does have a nice spinny sword thing you drop on the ground, which is really cool for wiping things out in some levels. It's not really a support character, or can be a support character, but it's another one where you're running around with great swords and whatnot. So we can have a quick look at that one. So the Guardian, I really don't know how to use properly. I sort of run around with a great sword and bash things and drop my little spinny blades. It's got virtues and whatnot. It's one of those ones that you probably need to go watch a really good video on if you really want to watch it and do it. But certainly, yeah. Oh, it's another heavy class. It's I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun. My daughter plays one and she loves hers. Now, the Revenant, you don't get the Revenant on the free account. You do have to have bought the game for that. We will have a quick look. It's great for if you've got a hammer or something and you want to. It's a bit of an all-rounder. I think it's not another one I'm real familiar with. I don't play a lot of the heavy classes, but if you like throwing a hammer at great range, might be the one for you. Have a quick look. The Revenant, I enjoy it, but I don't really use it properly. I mostly just like it because it has a hammer you can throw at range. So I spend all my time just whacking a big hammer around and knocking people down, and I quite enjoy that. And it's got some spinny hammers somewhere, where I can have spinning hammers around my head, wiping people out, except they're all wiped out already. So I find that one fun. If you want to throw a hammer at people, then it's probably the one for you. Another good heavy class if you want to play heavy. Certainly one to try. Now, the Ranger is my preferred class. It's the one I played the most, and it's one I recommend because I think it's a good all-rounder class. It's great for when you're doing events because it's got more range than any of the other classes in the game. You've got a bow. My dog's kind of walking in. It's got a bow, and it's good for getting those shots in just from a distance when you're in a group of people. It's medium damage, medium armor, medium everything. You have got a pet, which is really great. It gives you extra damage, and when you're laying on the ground, because in this game you have a down state when you're fighting, and when you can be not quite dead, you're sort of on the ground fighting before you're completely dead, and you can still be doing some damage, and your pet's still doing damage, and your pet will come over and heal you and this sort of thing. So that's a very handy class. I don't mind that. We'll have a quick look at that one. The Ranger, of course, is my main character is a Ranger. It's all about the bow. It has a long range bow. And you've got your pet, which will go and help fight for you and heal you and whatnot. So it's a fun class. It's handy. Like I say, you've got good range. You can also swap to a torch and a sword or something if you want. Throw the torch at things, hit things with swords. You can run around being Aragorn if you want. It's always a lot of fun. It'll also wield a great sword, I think. Though it's got a few options. Later on, you can upgrade that and run around with a knife if you want. Primarily, it is use a bow. Thief is not one I've played a lot, but it's a fun. It can be a lot of fun, especially. I know it's not probably the way to play it, but running around with dual pistols. Is a great lot of fun, or even dual knives. It's a very nasty class, and that's the sneak thief armor. Same as the male has a big cloak, and of course that the girl has a little skimpy outfit, which is always funny in these games. And then later on you can also do. I think that one does Deadeye, where you've got a rifle and you kneel down and shoot things. So it's a fun class. I do like that one, and a lot of people say it's not for beginners, but I think it's a fun class to play. Now, for the Thief, not when I play a lot either. It can be a lot of fun. It's got a lot of stealthy things, leaping around and doing stealthy things. And I do run around with 2 daggers or couple of ooh, does a lot of acrobatics, or a couple of pistols. It's got a little bit better for, because it's got the this bar here. Instead of having a cooldown on each weapon, it's got like you can do weapons multiple succession, and then until your bar's on. So it's a little bit different dynamic. They're all a bit like that. So it's worth trying some of those. Engineer is a different sort of class. Mine, the little Azura. It's very different. It's all about turrets and tool belts and things like that. So it can be a little bit more complicated to play because you're not just running around shooting like you normally would. You can, and as it gets to some of the specializations, you do probably more of that, but it's an interesting class. I will have a quick look at that one. I don't actually have a normal engineer at the moment. I've actually got a holosmith, but if you I've just put some turrets back on it temporarily. You can sort of run around turrets. Normally would use a gun. You can spawn robots and things, all these little turrets and things to blow things up. And I've got a sword at the moment. Normally I might have a pistol or some other tool. You've got ammo belts and whatnot that you can use. And like I say, then later on upgrade to a holosmith here that gives you all sorts of other weapons. So yeah, it's a little bit different to play that one. Certainly interesting. I wouldn't necessarily say for the first character, but one to try. Necro is an interesting class. I like it. I've got a few of those, especially in the little people. I've got human. I've got a few different ones. I use it for running around collecting because you can have like dead sort of risen creatures that float around with you, and they fight for you, and you can send them to do things, and they sort of protect you. They're great distractions. So when you're doing something, they'll be fighting, and you'll be collecting your berries for the day. And oh, did you kill something, guys? Thank you very much. And then they die off, and you can make new ones. So it's a lot of fun, and especially do it with Azura. They say the funniest things about their little pets. Like I'll have to make a new one, and it's hilarious. As a Necro, you'll be able to spawn all sorts of little creatures, even for your health. He'll run around and heal you and suck health out of people. You can spawn lots of minions, which is lots of fun, and they follow you around and kill things. There's many other powers it's got that are two-dimension right here. And it's got a ranged weapon on an axe here, so that's a lot of fun. You can run around and just axe people to death, which is and your little minions will do a lot of the work for you. I'm at a fairly low level here. This is also an upgraded one too, but it's mostly Necro. Later on you can do extra specializations with them, but I primarily use it just with the minions because they're so much fun. Elementalist, I don't mind elementals. I quite like them, especially when they get specializations later. They can be hard. They're a light class and high damage, so they're a bit of a glass cannon, I think, in some ways, because they do die pretty easy, but they are a lot of fun. They shoot fire and well, actually, you do all the elements. You can have water and fire and earth and wind, and so I tend to use a lot of fire and rain down fire on all your enemies, and they get to wear all the cute outfits. So you have all the beautiful frilly outfits and dress, much like this one, running around, burning everyone to a crisp. So it always looks hilarious. So it's always fun to have a nice, cute elementalist burning the field to a crisp. So yeah, this is actually a weaver. I've just converted it to go double fire. And then it'll be more like the original. You start with a staff, with a weaver. I actually run with a great sword. When you start, you'll be able to rain down fire like this sort of thing as an elementalist, and this is a lot of fun. What's the other one? And you shoot fire. I don't think what the other one is for. I haven't played it in this format for a while. Ooh, lay fire down. That's great. Two, it must be two, is it? Yeah, two. You have a pool of fire and burn things. So normally you shoot with your number one. Everything's got multiple weapons, but that's for another video. And yeah, so that's the elementalist and fire. Mesmer. Mesmer is probably a difficult one. It's probably the hardest one I've ever had to level up. I don't even think I leveled it all the way. I think I went so far to 60 or something, and then I tend to you collect tomes of knowledge from other characters as you're going through the game. So you get up to a certain point, you just tome them up to level 80, and then so you can get them all nice and strengthened up. Mostly it's about illusions, so when you're fighting you're creating a lot of illusions. They distract the enemy, you can sort of explode those later to do damage, and then some of your illusions do some damage. So it's a bit swishy. There's light armor as well, it doesn't do a lot of damage in some ways. So it can be a bit tricky to play, but it's a fun support character. The main reason you will have one, especially if you're playing with other people, is you can port other people between places. So say if there's a jumping puzzle going on, you might up to the jumping puzzle, you might have some teammates that are struggling or some new players that are having trouble, so you can make a port up there, jump down to where they are, open the port, and they can go through to the other area. There's some times on that obviously, but or you can port them to, I got through the door, and you can port them back through obstacles like that. So it's a very handy support character for that. We'll have a quick look. And then there's of course the Mesmer. This is the upgraded form of the Mesmer. It does a lot of the same sort of things. It'll do little images of myself, leave little copies of myself. It gets very confusing, but I can't remember how to make them. I haven't played this in a while. I primarily use this one for portaling. It gets 8. I can do a portal. I can't move now. I can lay a portal, I can go somewhere else, lay another portal, and then portal back through those, back and forth for one. It's especially useful if you want to port someone somewhere. It's unique to this character, of course. And then, of course, you could also, mostly it's that's my main use for this one. Plus, it does the all little images of me blowing up everywhere and all that sort of thing. A bit of a confusing one to play because you can create new copies of yourself and then sort of jump to them, and you can get really lost with this character, but lots of fun. So that pretty well covers that part of the professions, and that's your key decision to make is your profession. You've got to decide on one of those. If it's something you don't like, you can always make another one. They're all good. They're all got their advantages. I play all of them. I've played all of them. I don't play all of them a lot. They've got their strengths and their weaknesses, and some professions I like more than others, obviously. So you really just got to try them. Like I say, I think if you just want to go out and fight crazily, a warrior is great. Probably more so than a guardian, but in the Revenant's a lot of fun like that too if you've got the full game. Ranger is a good all-rounder. It's a good easy all-rounder, but then the Thief I don't think is that bad either. And like I say, a Necro or an Elementalist, if you do want to try light, you want to try and have that look and feel like the Necro and Elementalist certainly are good fun to play too. And you really, you've just got to try them and see what suits you. The biggest trouble probably in game is how they start. You'll start with an Elementalist and you'll feel like, oh, this is great. It just wipes out the enemy. I'm just flying through the first few levels. I feel like I'm so easy. I love the way it goes. And then you sort of hit a tough spot where it just feels like, oh, I'm dying so much. And then later on, when you get up into level 80, you feel like, oh, yeah, it's great again. So it's hard to tell how it's going to be later on. And even with the Necro is a great later, but it takes you probably level 10 or 15 before you get all your little beasts available, and you might want to go with beasts or you might want to go with something else, because each character, none of them are fixed. So you, as I've said with some of them, you can change all your weapons, and every weapon's going to give you different skills. So this is the hard part of it, and everything from Neo on. We'll quickly run through the rest of this. There's no point in dwelling on anything after this too much. This is the main screen, and once you pass this, the rest of it's fairly easy. We'll have a look at that in a minute. So that quickly covers all the professions really quickly. There are better guides if you really want to have a really in-depth look at them all. But for the first character, if you pick Warrior, Ranger, or Necromancer, or just go through them and read them. You can always have another character later, and they're all great. Like I say, I'm a ranger person, but everyone's different. Elementalist is fun, and warriors a lot of fun. Thief's a lot of fun if you ask me too. So once you pick that, you're on your way, and that's pretty much got you through the main part of this. You go to customization. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You spend as much time as you want here, because this is all stuff you can change later. Even the dyes, you can dye your armor to your heart's content afterwards. You collect dyes, you can make it a lot better, so it doesn't really matter what you do there. Get your face and your body right, because if any changes you want after this are going to cost you, but you can do it. It's just a matter of getting a kit that changes it, or your hair, all that. There's my dog. That's my daughter's dog, actually. Hey, you want to get out for a bit? He sits up in my lap for hours. So any of that stuff can be changed, and there's great detail there to get all the options. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but you should spend a lot of time there. After that, all these things are fairly insignificant. Don't worry about these. All various ones of these will pick various things. This one has various face things. They will change eye colors and whatnot. Don't worry about it, because these things can be changed later. They can be turned off. Just pick things that you think look cool, or you like the wording. They are totally irrelevant. Most of these things afterwards only affect, it's like here, they affect the storyline and things you say, whether you're going to react with charm or dignity or ferocity. It really just affects storyline dialogue, and it's really, all of these things are really just personal story and your story and your personal history. So yeah, have a quick read through them and see what appeals to you, but don't panic about any of them. Different like range, different people have different options as you get up there. Like with range, you're going to pick a pet. It doesn't matter which one. This is a Norn, isn't it? It doesn't matter which one you pick. You will collect pets later, and any one of these pets that you can pick for a ranger for various races will suit you just fine. That's a Norn, is it? Let's go back to the beginning. We can pick a human, and you'll see you'll get a different pet selection. So you go back and forth on a lot of these things too. Pick your pet, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to collect pets. There are a couple of dozen to collect. You'll need some for underwater. You know, you want to get a shark. You get to Keswick Hills, swim around, and you'll get a nice shark from underwater. You'll get cats and plants and floating plants and all sorts of bugs, spiders. You'll pick up more pets. And like I say, all that stuff doesn't matter. Some of them, most of the things you get extra in those areas, you know, you'll get whether you get shoulder pads or helmets, or it makes no difference in the later part of the game. So it's all storyline stuff. You're going to get other helmets and other equipment and other face masks, and so I think it's just different bits of equipment for most of these. Whether you have shoulder pads and as a dedication, it's all just storyline things. Don't panic about it. You know, like that. What sort of dialogue you're going to get in the storyline. So have a read through it, see what seems to suit you. You know, whether you think, oh, I want this to be a tough person or a charmer or a dignified person. It's the same as your storyline. You know, let's get back to range of human. Oh yeah. So you'll get things like your storyline. You know, I was raised. Do you want to be a noble or a street person? This is all personality things. It will affect your storyline. A lot of these things will affect your storyline. Say, are you going to be going to find my sister's body and find what happened to my sister, who I won't give any spoilers. So this is all just storyline, and it really just affects. I always do the sister one because it's always cool. Go rescue my sister. But so you know, the pet is not going to matter. They're all very similar for the early days. You know, and it depends on your character. You know, you think, well, if you've got a tough character, you might want a lizard, and if you've got, you know, a girl like that, you might want a cat, or if you've got a guy, you might want a bear. So these things don't matter too much. So don't panic about them. And of course, your name, pick a name. It can be a 2-word name or a 3-word name, or letters, or whatever you want. That is all completely arbitrary. I think it's these ones here you got to watch. You know, some of these, you'll do all your eyes up lovely, and you think, oh, I've done a really nice job on my eyes, and you go here and, oh, look at it's done, and you're picking it on the look. Just don't worry about it. You can change them later. You can get different masks and whatnot, and don't let it change what you've done here this is your look. This is what you're going to look like when you're normal. Don't take too much notice of these, which are going to make you look ugly, because you can change that later. And it doesn't really change the look because it's just a mask that goes over. It's the same as wearing a helmet or whatever. So that really is it. Just getting your profession, getting out there, and just get out, play the game. This is you've done the worst of it, but there's a few things after you get going that I want to cover with just what keys do I press, what do I do with these, because I know I played it, I just had no clue even just how to move, and I've played a lot of games, and it's just a little bit different, and there's just the basics of surviving in the world when you first get out, and we'll do some of that next time.